Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, SmartView for Dynamics GP. My name is Whitney Mahon, and I'm an account executive here at FMT Consultants, and I'm joined by Naomi Olson, an account manager at E1 Solutions. Before we dive in, for those of you who aren't familiar with FMT Consultants, I'd like to take a few moments to give you a brief introduction of our company. Here at FMT, we have successfully completed over 1,000 project implementations. We have been in business since 1995 and are celebrating our 20th year anniversary. We are Southern California's leading provider of Microsoft integrated solutions and have over 230 clients, both in the United States and Canada. Our team has significantly grown over the years, with currently close to 60 team members, both in Northern San Diego as well as Los Angeles. While today we will be focusing on Dynamics GP, we also offer services pertaining to Dynamics CRM, SharePoint, Office 365, Power BI, NetSuite, SAP Business by Design, and Dell hardware. Now I'm going to hand it over to Naomi, but before I do, if at any time during the presentation you have any questions, feel free to type them into the comment box. I will be monitoring them during the entire presentation. Naomi?
Thank you, Whitney. All right, and thanks everyone for joining us today and taking some time out of your day. I really appreciate that. As Whitney had mentioned, I am Naomi Olson, and I am the account manager here at E1 Solutions. And again, if you guys have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to myself and or go ahead and reach out to FMT. Whitney can certainly help you as well. FMT is one of our best partners that we work with. And so today what we're going to learn about is we're going to take some time and learn about SmartView. Those of you who have not heard or have not seen SmartView, really what it is it's an easy to use tool that's going to provide you with a better, faster, and smarter alternative interface to all of your existing SmartLists. Now, I have been an account manager with E1 Solutions for about 16 months. I absolutely love my job and I love working with E1. I would love to live in a world where my kids would always listen and where there's about an extra 10 hours in each day. Now, as Whitney had mentioned as well, everyone is muted, so if you do have questions, certainly submit it via the chat at the very bottom right-hand corner of the webinar panel, and we will certainly try to address them throughout the session. All right, so what we're going to talk about today, well, first we're going to have a little bit of fun as well. I'm not going to try to bore you and just sit and talk away. I really want to dive deep into the solution and really give you a good hands-on feel for what the solution can offer you. We do have a 7-minute session before we take that dive into SmartView, and it's just going to be kind of an interactive session, and we'll go over that here in just a little bit. We're going to define SmartView and really go over the differences between SmartView and SmartList. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see it live in action, and then any questions that we weren't able to address throughout the session, we'll certainly get those addressed at the end as well. So to begin with, I'm going to have you guys all go to a browser. This can be on your phone, your iPad, iPod, your tablet, your laptops, and type in reimagine.e1solutions.com in the address bar. And I'm going to do that as well. And once you type that in, reimagine.e1solutions.com, you're going to come across a web form. If you could go ahead and complete that web form, that would be great. So I'm going to complete mine with you as well. And as far as the event level, you can choose general or VIPs. Just so you kind of have some context as far as what you're doing. So this technically what you're doing is you're signing up for the E1 Reimagine party that we are hosting. All right, so I'll just give another brief moment to let everybody go ahead and get that completed. What we're going to do is I'm going to actually just give you a brief 7-minute interactive session where you're going to see 4 of our solutions here within just a few moments. All right, so hopefully everyone's got that completed. So let's take a look here, and we're going to see who has helped me out and who has actually completed that web form. So I'm going into GP. I'm going to pull up our SmartView. Let's go into today's orders. All right, so we can see a few of us have completed that web form. Now I'm going to go ahead and double click here. I'm going to pick on Tim Allen. So I'm going to double click on this invoice, and as you can see, it's going to pull the invoice right up to your screen. All right, now these invoices here that I'm showing you, these were actually all created when you submitted that web form. And so what was actually happening is on the back end, we had Smart Connect, which is our integration and automation tool that we created maps to run and create these invoices. So I'm going to go back into Tim Allen's. I'm going to go into and show you not only did it create the invoice, but what it also created was the contact card here in GP. If I go into our SOP Extra, this is an extender window that was created. Now, extender is used to create new windows within GP without having to use or know any code to do so. And this is where we're capturing whether it's a VIP or a general status. All right, not only did it create the invoices and the customer contact card in GP, what it did is it also created our marketing list in CRM. So let's say I wanted to contact everyone who signed up for my party here and market to them and send them maybe a reminder or send them a formal invite. So as we can see here, here is everyone who filled out that web form. I'll pick on Tim again. All right, and so what I'm going to do now is show you what I can do is I can actually enter information into CRM. And what we have is we actually have a real-time map running. So anything that I'm entering in CRM is actually going to then duplicate and enter into GP as well. So let's say that. So now let's go back to SmartView here. We're going to go ahead and refresh this list. We're going to go back into Tim Allen's invoice here and go into his customer card. Now, as you can see right here, towards the center of the screen and the address, we've got the 123 Main Street. So you can see with that real-time mapping, it integrated that data to GP as well. All right, now one more thing that I'm going to go ahead and show you is, I know a lot of people work from Excel. We do a lot of work from Excel ourselves. Now I'm going to go ahead and refresh this list. Now this Excel report was actually created using Smart List Builder, which has our Excel report builder part of that tool. So I'm going to go ahead, I just refreshed this data, and what this is doing is this is actually pulling in all that live data from GP. All right. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and make an adjustment to one of these invoices or all of these invoices without going into GP to do so. I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change Tim Allen. We're going to make him a VIP. So we're going to change that to yes. And we're going to give him a discount. We're going to charge him $5 to come to our party. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to change my name here to Mickey Mouse. And Mickey Mouse, we're going to charge Mickey Mouse $1,000. All right, so if I go up to our E1 Solutions add-on, Excel add-on, and run our map. Now what's happening in the back end is Smart Connect is actually posting it's actually updating all these unposted invoices. So we did have a successful map notification here. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back into SmartView. I'm going to refresh my list. Now, as you can see, Tim Allen, you are now VIP, and you are only being charged $5. And then myself is now Mickey Mouse, and Mickey Mouse is going to pay $1,000 to attend the party. So just kind of wanted to show you how we can really use Smart Connect. And so not only did you see Smart Connect, I also showed you Extender. We looked at Smart List Builder, and then of course SmartView, which is the tool that we're going to take a look at a little bit deeper and show you more of here in just one bit. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's the difference between Smart List and SmartView. So Smart List, that's what's available with GP. It's just your very basic set of reporting tools, and a lot of you may know it is very slow and cumbersome. You've got lots of limitations. You're only limited to those 4 filters. And then, of course, you do have limited data because of that limitation as well. Now, with SmartView, that's going to be available from E1 Solutions. It does replace your Smart List altogether. It makes working with these lists so easy. You do have unlimited number of filters. You do have your totals right to your screen, so you're not going to have to export that to Excel. We've got an easy grouping and subgrouping available. If you do need to export, you can export to Excel, a CSV file, PDF, literally within seconds. And another cool feature is we actually took our SmartView internal and SmartView external tool and kind of married them into the one tool. And now with that functionality, you're going to be able to see any of those lists outside of GP without taking up a GP license. So you're going to be able to save some money without using a GP user license for that. And then, of course, you're going to be able to see these lists that you create with Smart List Builder in SmartView as well. All right, so some of the top features in SmartView is you're going to be able to see your list in fractions of a second. And so it's extremely fast. You also have unlimited number of filters. You're going to be able to export that to Excel, again, CSV or PDF. You've got your totals right to your screen. And then you're going to be able to see those lists without logging into GP. So that's definitely cool, and that's something we use here as well right within E1 Solutions. All right, I'm sure you're tired of me talking, so let's go ahead and actually take a look at SmartView. I know we did get a brief view of it earlier here when we were looking at our 7-minute interactive session here. So I'm going to actually, to begin with, is let's have a race. We're gonna have a race. So we're gonna have a. I'm gonna pull up a list in Smart List. I'm gonna also pull up that same list in SmartView, just so you guys can kind of take a look at how quick SmartView really is. So let's pull up Smart List, and we're gonna go to our sales. Oh, wrong one here. Sales transactions. All right, now you can see we're only at a few hundred line items within a few seconds there. So let's go ahead and pull up SmartView. And we're going to pull up that same list. And as you can see, within 0.17 seconds, we were able to pull up that same exact list. So as you can see, SmartView is definitely quite a bit faster than you're going to get with Smart List. All right, now one of our customers that we've recently implemented SmartView with, they actually processed 350 million transactions annually, and they were actually having to pull up their list at the beginning of the day and hoping by the end of the day that list had done loading. Once they implemented SmartView, they were able to literally see thousands of their records within just a fraction of a few seconds or less. And so they were definitely very happy and have used SmartView ever since. Let's take a look a little bit at the lay of the land now as we want to look. On the left-hand side, we have what's called our tree view. And this is where you're going to be able to see those canned lists from Microsoft. You're going to also be able to see any lists that have been created with Smart List Builder. And then, of course, any of your lists that you've added as a favorite. That's going to show up here over on the left-hand tree view side. On our right-hand side, this is where we have our column section. And while we have this pulled up, let's go ahead. I'm going to just show you how easy it is to add additional fields onto this list here. So I'm going to add let's do a sales territory. I'm just going to literally drag it and drop it. As I'm dragging it over, what's happening is this field is appearing on the very right-hand side or at the very end of the list here. So I added the sales territory. Let's do a sales ID. And how about a date? Now I'm going to go up to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to go to our options, and I'm going to actually take away the list and take away the columns. Now, as you can see, you're going to have a greater visibility to your data and be able to hide that at any point in time so you can really see the data that you're pulling in. So here's our sales territory that we added. Here's our sales ID, and here's our sales date. As I stated, they come on the very end or the right-hand side as we pull that in. Now, one thing I do want to also point out is let's go ahead and look at the very bottom of our screen right here in bold. You're going to see we have our total right to our screen. Super convenient. You don't have to export that to Excel. You're going to be able to see that right then and there. Saves the person a lot of time. Another cool feature is we can literally drag and drop these fields. So if you wanted to change the order of them, you're going to be able to change that by just dragging and dropping. Another thing is, let's say I wanted to filter, let's say I wanted to group. So I'm going to group by the SOP number. Actually, I'm not going to group by the SOP number. I'm going to group by the SOP type. I lied. Sorry about that. So we'll do SOP type. And then that's also grouped by, let's say, sales territory. We'll subgroup by the sales territory. So as you can see, it does a nice grouping and summary of your data, so you can collapse it and even get a greater summary. And as you can see here, we've got our totals right to our screen. You can expand that. Let's go ahead in the upper right-hand corner here of this field, and all of the fields, you're going to have a little caret. And this is where you can actually, one of the ways that we can filter data. So let's just filter in all the invoices. So here's the invoices. Now, when you add a filter, you're going to then have the ability, what appears on the bottom screen is what we call a filter ribbon, and it's purple. So if this is where we're going to have the ability to add those unlimited filters. So literally, I could add to my heart's content. So not only can you add unlimited filters, but you can set conditions with these filters. So you've got end or not end. And then within the filter, you have equals, does not equal, begins with, ends with. So you really have endless possibilities of setting up those conditions as well.
Naomi, before we move on, could we answer a couple of questions that just came in? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Perfect. So Edna had a few questions. Our first one, when changing over to SmartView, what happens to our current SmartList reports? Are they automatically saved into SmartView?
They're not going to be automatically saved over. I'm going to pull up the tree view here just so you can kind of get. So any of those lists, the CAN lists that you've received with GP, or any list that you created with Smart List Builder, you're going to be able to view in SmartView. So depending upon how those lists were created, are going to then depend upon whether you're going to see those lists here in SmartView. So if they were just created right within GP, yes, you're going to see them. If they were created with Smart List Builder, yes, you're going to see them. Now, if they were created with maybe another third-party tool, some do have the capability and some do not. So that's something we would have to look at a little bit deeper. We'd have to look deeper into.
Awesome. The next question, do credit documents show up as negative numbers?
You actually have the ability to change the field settings. So you can have them appear, let's say, red, or you can have them appear negative. So yes, you do have that choice.
Awesome. And then last, can you restrict changes in SmartView by user login?
You sure can. So you have the ability to restrict based upon a certain list and a certain user. So you're going to be able to give access to any of these lists to specific users or specific roles, and or depending upon their security within GP. So there's like 2 levels of security. So yes, you're going to definitely have control over that.
Awesome. Thank you, Naomi, and thank you, Edna, for the great questions.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear your questions. One thing, too, if I can mention, as we're going through this, if you guys want to just kind of think about maybe some of the pain points that you guys currently have with Smart List. Think about any struggles or troubles that you have. And, what we can do, too, is we can try to maybe address some type of a resolution to that with SmartView. And maybe we can save you some time and or save you some hair so you're not pulling out your hair with that. So just kind of keep that in mind, and if you think of anything, certainly keep throwing it out. So thanks, guys. All right, so one thing here, I'm going to go ahead and unhide the list, or hide the list again, excuse me, and I'm going to show you our Find panel. So let's say you're looking for a specific invoice. You can't remember who it was to. You can't remember the name of the customer, but you remember an amount. Or let's say you remember the name, but not the amount, or anything. You could really search in this Find panel by any criteria. In this case, I'm just going to give you an example of a number. So let's say I'm going to use, maybe I shouldn't use 1,500. Let's use 500. So in this case, I remembered this invoice had a 500 in it. And so what it did is it's going to pull up any of those invoices that match that criteria that you're entering in that Find panel. So that's something that can definitely save you time as well. All right, so another thing here, and this is one of my faves. So I'm going to double click on this invoice, and you kind of got a taste of it here when I showed you earlier. But when you're double clicking on those invoices, this is what we call our go-tos. This is going to literally pull up a copy of that invoice in GP. So you're not going to have to go back into GP, write down the invoice number, type in the invoice number, and pull it up. You can double click on it, and it's going to pull that right up to screen. So that's definitely a plus. If you notice here on I'm going to actually collapse our data and summarize it again. Now you can right-click on any of these footers or headers, and you can do like a min, a max, you can do a count. So let's say I just want to count how many records I have. You can add that to your footers and headers as well. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to show you. So we're going to be able to export this to Excel within just a fraction of a second. And again, we have the CSV or PDF option as well. But I'm going to show you Excel just because it seems like the world is being taken over by Excel. So let's click on Excel. And let's name this FMT. Now, as you can see, literally within a few seconds here, you were able to export this to Excel. Now, and another cool thing is, I don't know why I'm getting this. Another cool thing is you're actually able to keep all your grouping and subgrouping. So as you notice, it kept all that grouping and subgrouping for you. Let's say I want to save this, and that way tomorrow when I come back to work, I don't want to have to redo my grouping and subgrouping and re-add my filters. What you can do is you can actually add it as maybe one of your favorites. And I'm going to save this one as FMT as well. And now this is one of our ways where we can add and define who has access to this list. So you can select the role. So let's say you want to give everybody within your organization who is a accounts payable clerk access to this list. So you can define it by role. You can also define it by user, based upon the users that are set up within GP. And then another cool feature is we have the multi-company feature availability as well. So if you have more than one company, you can assign that list to one of or all of your companies. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click all users. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And now let's go ahead and show you, pull up our list. So as you can see, this FMT with the star by it, this is one of our favorites that I just saved. So let's go here. Now let's click on FMT. As you can see, it saved all of the groupings and the subgroupings. And that way, again, it's going to save you time, but not having to redo all that for every day that you're coming back in and needing to access that list. So I showed you here how you've got your totals right to your screen. We went over where you can add unlimited filters. You've got your grouping, subgrouping. You also have the ability to save and save your list as favorites. Now, we also did the footers where you have the minimum and maximum, and then we also took a look at our go-tos to where you can access that invoice right by double-clicking from within the list. So that is pretty much a really good overview of SmartView and some of its capabilities. Now, as I mentioned, if you guys had any pain points that you currently have in SmartList, I'd love to hear it and maybe be able to show you a way to combat that or a way that we can help solve those pain points. So if you have any questions, we'd love to see them and hear them. So keep them coming, guys.